talking about. Anastasia Kus, the one to really look out for, but Besonyodi in lane 4 from Hungary, and Montu as well. So qualifying conditions, first 3 home, plus the 6 fastest non-automatic qualifiers. From the outside, it's Kopunovic, twice under-20 national indoor champion. Montu, only the silver medalist, but she is a strong runner. French woman, as we were mentioning, the European under-18 champion from last year, Anastasia Kus. Ilaha Gulieva, 3 times 400-meter champion in the senior ranks, and she's still only 18, the Azerbaijani athlete in lane 5. Petra Besonyodi, she'll be looking to smoothly qualify for the semis, the Hungarian in lane 4. Merit Stulkelberger of Switzerland, and on the inside, Maria Kopota of Romania. 3 times indoor under-20 champion from Romania. So from the inside, Kopota of Romania, Stulkelberger of Switzerland, Besonyi, Hungary, Gulieva, Azerbaijan, Kus, Poland, Montu, France, and then on the outside in lane 8, Kopunovic of Serbia. Well, it's Montu out in lane 7, who's had the quickest of the start over this first 100 metres. Montu making up the stagger on Kopunovic on the outside. Kus running well on the 6th lane at the moment, running very comfortably. Also, Sonyadi, the Hungarian, running well in lane 4 at the moment. So far going to plan. Montu, though, having an absolutely flying heat here. She's taking no prisoners whatsoever. Coming round 150 metres to go into the sunshine on the home straight, and it's the Frenchwoman coming in just ever so slightly in the lead. But having said that, Kus has come through so strongly over the last 50 metres, and now it's Kus timing her race to perfection. It's looking as though Montu is tiring up really badly. Kus striding away the pole, easing up now as she comes home with 20 metres to go, crosses the line comfortably in front. Well, that's the experience of Banska Bystrica last year. That's how to run a 400-meter race. Don't get caught up with that early flourish from Montu on her outside. And you could say that Kus ran her own race. Montu, well, came through for 2nd place, but did tie up rather badly down the home straight.
Well, what a really nice controlled piece of one-lap sprinting from Anastasia Kus. Montu went out like an absolute steam train. She was 2nd from the outside and would have been aware that Kopunovic of Serbia was outside 55 seconds in terms of her PB. The wheels began to come off for Montu, and there was a cracking battle on the inside. Stulkelberger and Besonyodi were running well in 3 and 4, but coming through was Kopota, who ran her own race. Montu was beginning to feel the lactic, but more than capable of hanging on for the 2nd spot. But Kus was already looking round with 60 or 70 to go. She ran an even split race. She was comfortable in the last 50, and her legs will be fresh come the semis. That was very, very impressive. Real maturity from the teenager there.
Yes, and she had the luxury of being able to look round with about 50 metres to go and ease up with 20 to go. Confirmation. Anastasia Kus winning very comfortably in 54.28. Emily Montu having to work a bit harder, but finishing 2nd, 54.91. And Maria Denisa Kopota of Romania, 55.19. They're the 3 that qualify automatically and go through to the semi-finals tomorrow.
A fraction, because we've got the 2nd heat of the women's 400 metres. Anastasia Kus ran a very even 54.28. Let's see what we get from Joanna Martin on the outside, the German, the fastest continental woman in the under-20 age group, with that 51.5 in Madrid, albeit with the Slight benefit of altitude. European age group indoor record at the start of this year, 52.22. So, Martin the favourite. Zabielska goes inside her in 7, then Ana Alba Rui, hoping to go inside 54 seconds for the first time. Kestelei of Hungary in lane 5. Could she break 55 seconds? Then to the Romanian, Stephanie Balint. Should be in the shake-up here. So too, Lily Lopez-Patey of Norway. She'll definitely hope to have one of the automatic 3 qualifying spots, 6 non-automatics. And then Vanessa Storr. She'll be getting a nice cheer from the school children who've made their way in. A morning off to come and sample some world-class athletics. So Storr of Finland in 2, Lopez-Patey Norway 3, Balint Romania 4, Kestelevski Hungary 5, Rui Spain of 6, Zabielska Poland in 7, and Martin on the outside, the German. Cameras focusing on Lopez-Patey. Could be a big battle between her in 3 and Balint of Romania in 4 for the second spot. But if this goes to form, we could see something very impressive from Joanna Martin. On the outside, one of the favourites for the 400 title. First, she needs to make the semis. She's in lane 8. They're away first time, so how brave and bold will Martin be, because she hasn't got the benefit of being able to see everybody inside her. Good running from Lopez-Patey, who's closed the gap up on Balint, and also Kestelevski of Hungary running well in the middle in lane 5. Just obscured, now out into the sunshine round the top bend is Joanna Martin, beginning to pull away from the rest of the field. Nice composed run so far. Lopez-Patey clearly in second place, and a good run by Storr of Finland, although she's starting to come under pressure from Balint now and going backwards. Nice steady running here from Martin. Martin easing up towards the line. Balint coming home ahead of Lopez-Patey. So the 3 names we expected to feature did so. Just been rounded down to 53.62. So it's comfortably quicker than Anastasia Kuss, but hard to tell the difference between who was running the easier. Martin had a tougher job than Kuss in the first because she was running blind on the outside. Very impressive qualification, and the top 3 showed their class there.
Well, we've talked a lot about Joanna Martin, but I was impressed there with Balint coming through. Again, a very well-controlled race. 54.13 at this stage. No, of course, they're not going to be approaching their personal best. But Balint looked as though she was coming through and finishing very quickly and very comfortably as well. Lopez-Patey, after starting so strongly, just started to tie up a little bit in the last 100 metres. Martin, though, barely out of breath. As we see here, the closing stages of that race. Bearing in mind, this would have been effectively a time trial for Joanna Martin. She wouldn't have seen a single runner. She's looking back there, just glancing very slightly. And unlike some stadium, we don't have a big screen where the ends of the stadium where the athletes can actually see what's going on behind them.
Be treated to a lovely day of great quality athletics, which continues now.
Indeed it does. This is the 3rd heat. Well, we've got no real standout performers in this particular heat, unlike the first 2. I think if anybody, all eyes will be on Zita St. Georgi of Hungary on the outside, 52.60 this year. She improved that time recently on home soil in Budapest, and there she is, the Hungarian. She's a very good sprinter as well. Last year took the Hungarian 100 metres title. St. Georgi hails from Budapest, the Hungarian capital. On her inside, Petkova of Bulgaria. So there, Peszeka of Poland. Well, we've seen Anastasia Kuss, and Peszeka undoubtedly will be part of a very strong Polish relay team. Silver medalist in the sprint relay last year. Giulia Mace, 2 times Italian under-20 champion. Today's the teacher Czechia, and then Katarina Rupp. She's just seen her compatriot Joanna Martin secure a place in the semi-finals. And on the inside, Una Jovanovic of Serbia, reigning under-20 200-meter champion. So extending a range here. Only one under 53 seconds this year is St. Georgi on the outside, the Hungarian. Personal best of 52.60. Nevertheless, it's going to be very competitive, certainly for those second and third automatic qualifying spots if this race does go to form. The likes of Rupp, Teacher and Machi in lanes 3, 4 and 5. So St. Georgi facing the same situation as Joanna Martin in the previous heat, the fastest woman in this race, and out in lane 8. As expected, she's starting very quickly, starting to put a lot of daylight between herself and the women on her inside. Running extremely well at the halfway point. Coming through well at this stage, it's Pajeka, the pole in lane 6. So making a lot of ground on the inside. Rupp of Germany, and it's St. Georgi out on the outside, coming into the home straight. Clear lead, although Rupp has ran a fantastic bend and just come through really strongly. And St. Georgi, rather surprisingly, starting to tire up as Rupp starts to pull away. Also coming through really well, Machi. So at this stage, it's going to be Rupp on the inside, Machi. I think St. Georgi just hangs on for third place, but we'll bring you confirmation of that. So that was a very curious race, I would say. St. Georgi streaking away to start with, but Rupp using real good tactical knowledge. Rupp, well, she was only third in the German under-20 championships back in Bochum earlier last month. It's Rupp who qualifies, 54.79, followed home by Machi and St. Georgi. What did you make of that race? That was an unusual race, wasn't it? Rupp obviously had a fantastic finish on her, but St. Georgi just tied up really badly.
St. Georgi got tired. Rupp ran an absolutely brilliant second bend. She's not the biggest in the field, but she showed real class and composure around that third 100 metres. Machi with the long flowing stride came through for second, and in the end St. Georgi did well to just hang on for the third automatic spot because Pajeka of Poland wasn't too far behind her in fourth. Good finish from Rupp, and there's more where that came from. Perhaps the most impressive thing about that race was a huge gust of wind that blew Phil Minshall's notes all over the place, and he managed to catch them without missing a breath or a beat.
Thank you, Rob. I was a reasonable slip fielder when I was younger. Katarina Rupp winning that race very, very impressively.
So heat 4 of the women's 400 metres. Luna Fischer goes in lane 4 for Germany, and what a good couple of races it's been for her teammates. Joanna Martin from lane 8 in the second heat, and then Katarina Rupp in lane 3 in the third. Bodes well for the German aspirations in the women's 4x4. On the outside, Eva Ostrati, yet to go inside 54 seconds. Alessia Doughty of Albania, looking for a PB. Meji Murek of Slovenia, inside 8 seconds this year, indoors over the 60, so she's clearly a good starter. Katarina Chekova, she's a 2:07 800-meter runner, so watch for good strength from her over the last 50. Luna Fischer, 53.88 this season, part of this great quartet of German one-lap runners. Victoria Quating of France, inside 53 seconds this year, the only one in the field to do so. But Lina Safa El Saidi, national champion over the 2 and the 4, she's run 53.02. So the lanes to watch here. There's Fischer director focusing in on lane 4, but watch for the 2 lanes inside. El Saidi and Kvarteng, and keep an eye on Chekova, the Czechia athlete. We no longer refer to Czechia as the Czech Republic. She's in 5 and has excellent 800-meter strength. Kuss ran a 54.28 in the first. We had a 53.62 from Martin and a 54.79 from Rupp. The non-automatic times, for those who don't get in the top 3, anything inside around 55.5 will be good enough for the shake-up. Top 3 from this one, qualifying automatically. Safely away, lane 1 not being used. Pretty even at the moment. Fischer just beginning to eke up the stagger on Chekova. On the outside, Ostrati, the Lithuanian, has gone out very hard, but it's Fischer of Germany. Chekova going with her, actually, showing that 800-meter strength. And on the inside, Kvarteng, second from the inside, running well for France. And in fact, Fischer might come under a little bit of pressure here because Kvarteng's coming through on her inside. And El Saidi of Norway into the shake-up. So Fischer is starting to go backwards here. It's Kvarteng from El Saidi. Chekova just ahead of Fischer. Big battle for the 3rd automatic spot. Kvarteng from El Saidi. Fischer does outdip Chekova on the line for the 3rd spot, 53.78. And there's a Frenchman next to us, next to our commentary position, on his feet with the tricolor flag draped around his shoulders. Very good composed piece of running there from Victoria Kvarteng. National indoor champion for France, has shown real quality there. 53.78. Safely through to a mouth-watering set of semi-finals.
Yes, the second fastest of the heats so far this morning. 2 more to come. Joanna Martin leading the way with that second heat win of 53.62, but a very impressive performance, as you were saying, Rob, from Kvarteng. We're looking at that long-standing championship record of 51.27. It'll depend a lot on the conditions. I think we've got women here, Alexander Kuss and Johanna Martin, and perhaps 1 or 2 others with Stefania Belen coming through as well. Kvarteng, who could potentially approach that time. So Kvarteng coming through very strongly, very comfortably, as we would expect the favourites at this stage in the competition. We'll really start to see the shakeout happening in the semi-finals.
Good run from Kvarteng. Al Saidi and Fischer are there. Chekova is the fastest of the non-automatic qualifiers at the moment with that 54.69.
So this is heat 5 of the women's 400 metres, and we go from one British success to our eyes being on the Briton in lane 2, Charlotte Heinrich. From the outside though, it's Kalobi Rempelo. Strong 200-metre runner as well, the Greek. Hostad of Norway. He's twice been in the top 8 at the World Under-20 Championships. And Zoe Fiorentino got a gold medal in the sprint medley at the Under-18s last year. Tricount of France, and then on her inside, Marcelea of Slovenia, Olashuk of Ukraine. And this is Charlotte Heinrich. Well, second on the European list this year behind Joanna Martin. Personal best at the London Diamond League meeting in one of the national competitions of 51.95. She was the European Under-18 champion 3 years ago in Jerusalem. I remember watching her win that gold, and she's starting to really now make an impact in the Under-20 ranks. They settle into the box from the inside in lane 2. Heinrich, Britain, Olashuk of Ukraine, Marcelea, Slovenia, Trinkan, France, Fiorentini, Italy, Holstein of Norway, and on the outside, Rempelu of Greece. And it is Charlotte Heinrich on the inside, making up the stagger very quickly on Olashuk and Marcelea on her outside. She's now starting to bear down on Trinquant of France. Good running at this stage from Henrich of Great Britain. 200 metres undertaken, also running well on the outside. It's Remplo of Greece, although the Greek is now starting to tire a bit, as on the inside Henrich comes round. The stagger's been made up, and she's got a massive advantage here of about 7 or 8 metres. It's Trinquant of France coming through strongly in lane 5. The battle is really for second place there, as Charlotte Heinrich takes a very comfortable 53.22, the fastest time of this morning so far, with 1 heat to go. And Henrich, well, European under-18 champion 3 years ago. Can she add to her list of age group titles here in Tampere in Finland? A very impressive run from the woman from Canterbury, out in the southeast of England.
Very good run. Good showing it there from Trinquant, following on from Kwarteng's good run, so it bodes well for the French 4x4 aspirations, but excellent work there from Henrich. Her PB has improved by 1.5 seconds since last June. She's down to 51.95. She was miles clear. Good third place there for Holstad as well, with a 54.77. Alexia with 55.30 is just about in the shake-up for a non-automatic spot, having finished 4th. But she looks very relaxed as Anastasia Kuss did in the first of the heats. I think she's definitely in with a shout here, the young Briton. And the key with that, she seemed to enjoy the occasion as well. And that's half the point with these age group continental events.
So over a second, which is a yawning gap over 400 metres between Charlotte Henrich and Romain Trinquant. 53.21 in first place for the Briton, to the Frenchwoman's 54.52, and Holstad of Norway coming home to take the third automatic qualifying place. I was confused as well when I looked at my flight ticket.
So was I. Right then, it feels like we've been on these 400s for half the day. We've got one left to come. Madelief van Leur, very experienced Netherlands athlete. 4x4 silver in Jerusalem 2 years ago. By the way, if you like watching out for the non-automatic times, it's Besson Yodi with the 6th of the non-automatic times on 55.47 for anybody here who doesn't finish in the top 3. Emmy Savenius getting a great introduction from the man on the PA system. I hope he saves his voice. We're here for 4 days. Lenka Gmurska of Slovakia, just outside 53 seconds this year. It's quite even, this one. Tulum of Turkey, bronze medalist from 2 years ago, needs to improve on her season's best. Viafar of Slovenia with that very distinctive lime green vest. And then Van Leur, the most experienced in the race, 52.82 this year. Good athlete from Mileto to chase. Mileto has run a 7.77 indoors over 60 this year, so look for her to start fast. And Zakai, national champion over the 4, and a silver over the 800 meters domestically for Israel in lane 2. So Zakai, Israel in 2, Mileto, Italy 3, Van Leur of Netherlands in 4, Viafar of Slovenia 5, Tulum of Turkey 6, Gmurska Slovakia 7, and Savenius of Finland in lane 8. We've seen some brilliant races so far. It's Henrich of Great Britain, the quickest of the qualifiers, but Johanna Martin with a 53.62, Kwarteng with a 53.78. What will we see from Van Leur in lane 4 here? We'll watch for a fast start from the Finn on the outside, buoyed by the crowd, swelling in numbers as the morning heat takes hold. You're watching the opening morning of the European Under-20 Championships. And what a great event this promises to be. Tulum beginning to close the gap on Gmurska, just outside her. And now Van Leur coming streaking down that back straight into this second bend. What a fabulous last 150 it's been from Van Leur, who was a vital part of the Dutch 4x4 squad 2 years ago in the sweltering heat of Jerusalem. Tulum still in second place, but now she's beginning to come under pressure from Mileto, second from the inside. Van Leur beginning to wade through treacle a little bit here. And Gmerska's coming back into it, second from the outside. Gmerska from Van Leur, I think, just with Mileto in the shaker. Wow. Gmerska saw Tulum go past her after 150. Van Leur came streaking through on the inside. But what a lovely run in that last 70 or 80 metres. Van Leur has been given second place by a whisker. I think it was Mileto in the shake-up for third, but it was very, very tight on the line. But what a lovely, well-judged race that was from Slovakia's Gmerska. Didn't panic early on and saved her best for the last 25 metres.
Well, Gmerska, she was a finalist in Banska Bystrica on home soil last year in the European Under-18 400 metres final. This year really moving up a notch, and she's had a very successful summer so far. Van Leur, of course, also in that final, taking the bronze behind Anastasia Kuss, who we saw a little bit earlier, and it was a 1-2 between them, but finishing in very, very different and dramatic fashion. Looking at the closing stages of the race as she's coming into the home straight. Van Leur, well, she has got a lot of international experience, but she is, as Rob was saying, walking through treacle as Gmerska, inspired like a dart over the final 30 metres, coming across the line comfortably in front. Well, Gmerska was impressive. Just perhaps one race too many in Banska Bystrica last year. Looked really good in the semi-finals of the European Under-18s, and I'm sure that experience has really been very, very helpful in terms of what she's learned and what she's going to be here in Tampere in Finland. So a good run there from Gmerska, the Slovak runner. So there's the result of heat 6 of the women's 400 metres. Lenka Gmerska coming through strongly, 53.70, and Van Leur second, 53.96. Francesca Mileto of Italy taking the third non-automatic qualifiers. So the fastest woman confirmed, Charlotte Heinrich, after those 6 400-metre heats. Johanna Martin, Lenka Gmerska also running well and very impressive. Then we get down to the non-automatic qualifiers. Czechova leading the non-automatic qualifiers with 54.69. And a big shout out to Emmy Savinius. Finn getting through with a personal best of 54.04. So we're back on the track. Looking there at some of the statistics, it's a really tough championship record. It's been on the books now for a very long time. Christina Bremer of the old GDR setting that. I think it might well even be the oldest championship record, 51.27, dating back to 1975. Well, the person we're looking out for here who had such a magnificent win, Charlotte Heinrich in lane 7. Before we get to her, Francesca Mileto, the Italian. Italian ran 54 exactly in a heat. Charlotte Heinrich, 51.95 this year. Hails from Canterbury in Kent. Romain Trinquois, Mauritian. Got through as one of the fastest non-automatic qualifiers. And Katrina Rook. She's actually the national under-23 champion, but only finished third in the under-20 championships over one lap of the track. So Madeleine Van Leer, she's going to be one of the main contenders, I feel, for one of those 2 automatic qualifying places with Heinrich. Holstad, and then in lane 2, Vieva of Slovenia, reigning national 400 metres champion in the under-20 ranks. And somebody who's already got a European Championship medal on the inside. Lena Pacheka from Poland last year, 17 years of age, and was part of the Polish sprint medley relay team. So, class act in this field is Charlotte Henrich. Van Leer as well has gone under 53 seconds, that benchmark of really good running in the under 20 ranks. From the inside, the Czechia, Poland, Viervar, Slovenia, Holstadt, Norway, Van Leer, Netherlands, Rupp, Germany, Trinquois, France, Henrich, Britain, and Melletto of Italy. The first of 3 semi-finals, the women's 400 metres. Well, a pretty even start. Henrich now starting to get in a running and already starting to close down on Melletto out in lane 8. Also running well as expected, Van Leer at this stage. Good running as well from the Norwegian in lane 3. But it's Van Leer of the Netherlands now closing down on Rupp on her outside. So it's very much as expected. Going to form at this stage. Henrich having an excellent run. Van Leer in second place at the moment as they come into the second bend. 150 metres to go. Henrich absolutely flying. Look at the determination on her face. Superb style. It's a massive advantage over the rest. Van Leer just trying to hold off Holstad on her inside and in lane 6. Trinquois, but Trinquois now fading. Holstad coming through strongly for second, but there's no doubt at all about the winner. A superb run from Charlotte Henrich of Great Britain. 52.39 unofficially. And it looks like Holstad just picked Van Leer for that second automatic qualifying place.
Well, she was the fastest qualifier in the heats with a very, very useful performance of 53.21 as Viervar picks herself up off the ground, and that was so aggressive from Henrich. So aggressive. Holstad has been given the nod for second by a 10th, but she was miles clear at this point. She's won that race by almost a second and a half. In a major semi-final, that's almost unheard of. Holstad was leaning and almost lunging for the line. She could sense that Trinquois and Van Leer were closing. Is that a grimace or a smile? Well, I think it becomes a smile. Henrich is in fantastic form. On the evidence of what we've seen there, she could well challenge her PB of 51.95. Brilliant win.
I think so. Henrich winning very, very well there in 52.39. It's the fastest time we've seen over one lap of the track from the women so far in Tampere. Holstad doing well, come through strongly. Just outside her personal best, the Norwegian in 53.84.
Time for the second semi-final. Heinrich with that 52.39 in the first. This is Maria Capotto of Romania on the outside. 25.3 over the 2. She's yet to go inside 54 seconds this season. Lina El Saidi, twice a national champion at 4 and twice at 200 metres. Victoria Kvarteng, 4th fastest qualifier, 53.78, and Gmerska, the 3rd fastest qualifier, with 53.70. Possibly they're the lanes to watch in 5 and 6. Macchi, the Italian, made the World Under-20 final last year. 3rd from the inside is Luna Fischer, inside 54 seconds this year. Will need to do so again to qualify. Poland's national championship silver medalist, Bielska. She too looking for sub 54. And Shani Zakai, national champion for Israel last year and this year, she's on the inside. So Zakai, Israel in 1, Zabielska, Poland in 2, Fischer, Germany 3, Macchi, Italy 4, Gmerska, the 3rd fastest qualifier for the semis in 5, Kvarteng, the 4th fastest qualifier in 6, El Saidi of Norway in 7, and Capota of Romania in 8. Heinrich and Holstead in the first ran 52.39 and then 53.84. What kind of marker will we see here from either the Slovakian in 5 or the French woman in 6? Kvarteng, national champion indoors and out. The non-automatic times, by the way, 53.94. Trinquois and Van Leer separated by thousandths. A big roar from a big crowd. And the Frenchwoman Kwarteng has gone out hard here. So too El Saidi, second from the left-hand side, closing down the stagger on Kapota. Very steady at the moment from Gmurska. Now we'd expect to see Kwarteng beginning to close round this corner. I tell you what, El Saidi is running really well, and she leads at the moment. Fischer of Germany coming through on the inside, and Gmurska's out of this at the moment, unless she's timed it to perfection. Now Gmurska trying to close, but it's Kwarteng from El Saidi, France from Norway. Kwarteng from El Saidi. Gmurska did rally, but left it far, far too late. Kwarteng perhaps would be surprised, I think, that initially El Saidi came back to her, but the Norwegian ran really well to hold her form and upset one of the favourites for a place in the final. Kwarteng with a PB, El Saidi second, and Gmurska at 53.74 is in a non-automatic spot at the moment. But look at this, Phil. Gmurska was miles out of it at this point. She left the gap far too long.
Yes, it was a bad tactical race from the Slovakian, and we saw that in the European under-18s last year. But let's just give a mention to Kwarteng. Produces the race of her life, shaves a few hundredths off her personal best, and does it on the biggest stage for European under-20 athletes. And she doesn't look too tired or distressed. She looks as though she's still got plenty left in the tank. Henrich, of course, absolutely phenomenal run from her, but Kwarteng could pressure her. So now, while we wet our lips with anticipation about the decathlon's final two events, we've got the third of the three women's semi-finals in the women's 400 metres, and this brings together, well, it's a terrific field, not least of which are the two standout performers, Joanna Martin in lane 5 and Anastasia Kus in lane 6. 7. So this was Ilia Lopez-Pate, got through as the fastest non-automatic qualifier. Here's the reigning European under-18 champion, now 18 years of age, Anastasia Kus, Stefania Balint of Romania, and Johanna Martin, the fastest woman in Europe, even faster than Charlotte Henrich at 51.55 when she was representing Germany in Madrid recently. Emily Montou, second in the French under-20 championships, French number 2. St. Georgi, don't count her out as well, she's a 52.60 performer. Slovenius of Finland won't lack for support here, and on the inside, Checheva. Checheva from Czechia, just 17 years of age. That's one of the outsiders to go through. Favourites have to be with two automatic qualifiers. Martin, who's wearing the blue bib, which denominates the European leader, and Anastasia Kus on the outside in lane 7. From the inside, Checheva, Savienos, St. Georgi, Montou, Martin, Balint, Kus and Lopez-Pate. Well, Kus out of her blocks very quickly. Martin at the moment just a little bit caught. And on her outside, it's Balint who's running well at the moment. Now Martin's starting to get into her running. Kus is flying as well. St. Georgi's doing well. The Hungarian, oh, she's pulled up, unfortunately. Oh, what a pity. Now at the sharp end of the race, it's Martin and Kus now battling for first and second position as they come into the second bend. Martin now ran a terrific back straight after a rather conservative start. Elegant runner very conservative with her arm movement compared to the exaggerated style of some of the women around her. But it is Martin in the lead at the moment. Kuss coming through, she's starting to challenge, she's starting to claw back the deficit, she's going past Martin. Martin is starting to tire badly. Kuss comes through though, 53.13, the slowest of the three semi-finals, but that won't bother Anastasia Kuss. She left plenty in the tank to come through so strongly down the home straight. And Joanna Martin hanging on, I think that is the right word, for second place in 53.57. And I don't think the women behind her, Balent or Lopez Pate, are going to make it through as fastest non-automatic qualifiers in that the slowest of the three semi-finals.
Well, Martin will be a little bit concerned about the speed with which she ran out of juice come the last 50, especially when you bear in mind Heinrich's 52.39 and then Kvarteng's 52.93 in the two earlier semi-finals. When you bear in mind Martin has run a 51.55, it didn't look like it there. Kuss, the champion from last year in Banska Bystrica, looks like she's hitting form at just the right time. Gmurska, who left it late in the second semi-final, has done enough for the quickest of the non-automatic spots, and Trinquan goes through on 53.94, just a few thousandths of a second ahead of Van Leur of the Netherlands. But Martin will need to find more than that in the final if she's to get in the shake-up for the medals.
Anastasia Kuss looking good and looking as though she's still got plenty more to come. 53.13 for the pole, and Joanna Martin following her home, 53.57. There's the roundup of all 8 the finalists, led by Charlotte Henrich, 52.39. Well, more than half a second ahead of the next best, the second semi-final winner, Victoria Kvarteng. Henrich will go into tomorrow's final as the overwhelming favourite without a doubt.
I think she's going to run inside 52 seconds, unless the weather's against her. This is it. The very last event on the penultimate night. Cracking race in the men's 4. Who takes the honours in the women's? Maybe the favourites, Martin in 8, Kuss in 5 and Henrich in 4. Let's see. Joanna Martin, the blue bib indicates she's the fastest in Europe this year, 51.55. That was in the European Team Champs, finishing behind a certain Femke Bol. Lina Al-Saidi, PB on the 1st of August. Could she duck inside 53 seconds tonight? Victoria Kvarteng, 4th, just off the podium last year, a PB in qualification. She won her semi-final, and very, very impressively. She's a great athlete. So too is Anastasia Kuss, gold medalist last year. Also on the podium in the World Juniors in the relay. Charlotte Henrich, one of the favourites. She got a gold medal in the European Under-18 back in 22. She's taken a second and a half off her PB this year. She's never been running better. Borghild Holstad, National Championship silver the last 2 years. Could she trouble that PB of 53.6? Lenka Gmurska, European Youth Olympic Festival silver in 22, made the final last year in Banska Bystrica. And Romain Trinquan, national indoor champion this year. She will need the race of her life. She's being roared on by some passionate French in the crowd. Trinquan, France in 1, Gmurska, Slovakia in 2, Holstad, Norway 3, Henrich, Great Britain in 4. Maybe the marginal favourite, although Martin on the outside has run well. Kuss as well, the champion last year in Slovakia in 5. Kvarteng, so impressive, winning a semi-final in a PB in 6, and Al-Saidi of Norway in 7. Whose nerve will hold, and who'll have the stamina down the last 50? The final of the women's 400 metres. Well, what a fascinating final we have here in Finland on this Saturday night, partly because the quickest woman in Europe in this age group is right on the outside, so she has no idea what's going on her inside. Martin going well, but they're all waiting for their moment to strike. Henrich running well round that bend. She's got the Frenchwoman Kwarteng in her sights. Martin leading at the moment, but look at Kuss as well. Henrik, Kuss and Martin, the three favourites side by side. The whole stand is on their feet. We can hardly see here. Henrik's coming away. Henrik's going to take it. Silver for Martin, and I think Kuss just hung on for the bronze. 51.68. That is a new lifetime best for Charlotte Henrik. Wow, she needed absolutely everything there. Martin had gone out so hard. Kuss was putting the Briton under pressure, and she's on the podium again after her European Under-18 win last year. Kwarteng misses out on the podium, but ends up with a national Under-20 record. Henrik has run so well tonight. That's a massive PB and a huge scalp to beat the fastest in the age group this year. Kwarteng is heartbroken. She ran so well with 52.26, but that was a final of the highest possible quality. The three big contenders were right there with 100 to go, and Henrik has seized her opportunity.
Well, what a way to bring the curtain down on this third day at these European Athletics Under-20 Championships. What a finale. Henrik, the girl from Canterbury in the southeast of England, absolutely flying around the track. And what I really liked about Henrik's run, not just the fact that she came home and took around 0.2 of a second off her personal best with that fantastic time of 51.68. It was a controlled performance. It was a mature performance. Kwarteng absolutely blasted the first 100. Then Martin came through and was really pressuring Henrik. Henrik was up there. Martin started to tire coming into the home straight, hung on for silver as Kuss came from a long way back to take bronze. But Henrik never panicked. She knew what was going on all the time, and it was an absolutely fantastic, if you really like, tactical performance.
I thought it would be fascinating. In a way, Martin had no choice but to run like that because she was on the outside and couldn't see anything. This was the moment I thought perhaps Martin might come back at Henrik, but she was just too strong in the closing stages. Kwarteng was finishing really quickly, which is why I think she's so disappointed. 3 more strides and she'd have had the bronze. But she does have a wonderful PB and a national Under-20 record. Great running by the first 4.
Indeed, and I do wonder, I was watching the first 100 around the first bend, and Kwarteng absolutely flew out of her blocks. I'm pretty sure she was the fastest over the first 100 by a very large margin, perhaps a little bit too quick, you might say. Kuss started to tire really badly in the last 50 metres. I thought Martin was going to have to settle for the bronze, but she managed to dig deep and grab the silver. Now we look here, Henrik. Well, we've seen that face in the semi-finals. She looks as though she's almost smiling. I'm sure she's not. She's working so very, very hard because she's running faster than she ever has done before. Kuss at this stage is right up on her shoulder. And then as the rest tire, Henrik pulls away and grabs the gold for Great Britain. And that keeps Great Britain on top of the medal table at the end of the third day. Plenty more medals to come on the final day. What a way to bring the curtain down. Oh, she's just been running so well. She was the favourite from the outset. Not quite as quick on paper in terms of seasonal bests as Joanna Martin, but from the heat, she really did look as though she was the gold medal favourite.
Great race and a great end to a wonderful night of athletics in Finland. Henrik is the European Under-20 champion. Martin, the fastest coming into this race, silver, and Kuss just about hanging on for the podium. Kwarteng not finishing in the top 3, but does go home with a national record.
Hi, I'm Nadia Batogritti. Sign up now to the European Athletics YouTube channel.